Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video I wanted to recap my Supreme Arena defenses that I've been trying and testing this week and which ones ended up doing the best. We'll watch some replays as well to get an idea of how the teams functioned, but basically I was really impressed with my final team here. This team didn't lose a single time. Resonating spell on the OD in the back with the Mauler buff tiles. It really shows you how powerful Mauler buff tiles are in the current meta. And so, in my opinion, if you have enough like Supreme plus Mauler heroes, I'd recommend trying to run at least 2 different Supreme Arena defenses with 3 Maulers. One great option is this version here with OD and Smokey on the buff tiles. That way Smokey can get into a position where he can buff up your team, and OD gets massive value dealing damage from the resonating spell, and also right up close he has that shielding. He's not really at a risk of dying. It just really does well. And then for the other heroes, like I went for Iron here because I have him built and like I thought he would do good to group up enemies, and especially with the hidden tiles, there's an element of surprise. Opponents might not go for their unaffected ways like tiles and, for example, artifacts. Lily May here was a good damage source, interrupting enemies, and Brutus just a tank. But you could run Antandra, like it didn't really matter. So this team did really well, and I'm gonna keep running this team in future weeks with Supreme Arena. Now my team number 2, I've changed it around. As you can tell here, it is different from what I recommended at the beginning of the week. At that time, I was running Vala. And I found that it's just better without Vala and keeping the Rainier instead. Basically, it was a choice of should I run Vala or should I run Rainier. Rainier does better buffing up with the charms onto Shakir and also the position swap, giving him that damage reduction. And in this specific map, because there isn't a way to have a hero in front of this other buff tile here, I chose to put Coco in the corner and Mikola on the buff tile, because then Coco's charms could at least not go to waste, and she could provide those damage reduction to the main Fester himself. And then I have my illusion up here. This will help me control the on arena at the beginning of the match. And also, you want the illusion to be tanking the damage of the opponent first, because then we can respawn our illusion if we need to, and it kind of like just distracts them. So I have him all the way up in the front. And Verdant spell. So when I first showed you this team with Vala, and even without Vala, I was trying it with Thunderclap spell. It's not as good as Verdant spell. I was hoping that Thunderclap spell could be useful, but honestly, I think it's just Verdant spell is overall so great, because Verdant spell has a great stat distribution, and the thing about the buffs is from the first second of the match, you get a buff, class-specific buff on all of your heroes, and it will last for 9 seconds. At maximum rank, it lasts for 9 seconds if you have 3 or more different classes deployed, which we do have here. We have a rogue, we have a support, we have a tank. So you want to have 3 or more classes. Most teams will have that, and then you get the maximum duration of your buffs. And 9-second uptime of the buffs. Every 15 seconds, they will keep recasting these buffs. So it's almost permanent uptime of these class-specific buffs, which are really useful. Massive damage reduction for your tanks, haste for your supports, and penetration for Shakir. 30 penetration to increase its damage. So it's a really good artifact. Verdant spell that you need to be running, in my opinion, on one of your teams. And I didn't really worry about the Thundering Doom too much. I just, like, you can't really play around that effect. And so whatever damage happens, it happens. We're trying to kill the opponent quickly. My final team is a Scarlet Stroll team, which I run every week. And it's solid. However, honestly, I feel like this team has room for improvement. I just don't know how to improve it. I think probably if I could run some sort of like Hypogean Celestial team here, that would be a good idea. Like Talion, Scarlita, Fresto, Talion, Scarlita, Rainier. If I had like other heroes built, maybe something like that. But for me, like this is the team I use every time. And I think out of my options is pretty much the best. The other option you can try though, as you've noticed, we don't have Vala fielded, we don't have Tasi fielded. So for example, if this team is not working well for you, or you just can't put it together, then I would recommend this team, which is tried and tested. It always does well for me week after week, and it is going to be, and we have all the heroes spare as well, so it's like the perfect opportunity to run this team. And I've been running Lucius as a tank, and then you just put in a final hero here. So I was running Lily May, but now that we have Lily May on team 3, you're not going to be able to run that. So for example, if you have Scarlita free, you can run Scarlita. If you have Haywin free, you can run Haywin. Haywin is good in a team like this. And then also you could maybe position like this to give Lucius the buff. Because Haywin, if she can cast her ultimate, that damage reduction will buy you time for Tasi to get off her ultimate. So Haywin is a good option in a team like this as well. So basically, that would be my recommendation. Like, and I would be running this team. Like, if my Square Leader team for whatever reason was not working well, then I would run a team like this. And this team is really good, but like you can replace Feresto for another Mauler tank if you want, or any really tank. You could even put Thor in here if you're not using him in the first team. Like right now we're not, and you could do a team like this. Would be perfectly strong and perfectly good as well. But Feresto is good in this team because you can have two bodies to control the Honor Arena, and with the Verdant spell, both him and his illusion are getting that damage reduction, which is really valuable. I think it goes up to 30% damage reduction at maximum rank, which is huge. And then for final teams, like if this team everyone can put together, and I would recommend running it. I think it's just overall stronger than any sort of Iron Nuke team which is going on right now, because the Iron Nuke teams like Iron, Carolina, Arden, they're just not very strong because of the fact that the opponents have a lot of ways of making unaffected, like for example Mauler buff tiles, Wilder buff tiles, even they have the resonating spell temporarily, and also at the beginning of the match the Valor Shield spell. Both of them give unaffected states. So before we forget, I'm going to take a look at the faction talents here as well that I recommend. So as you can tell, I'm running a Mauler and Wilder team, but even if I were running a Lightbearer team, these are the talents I would go for Lightbearer. I don't think this new skill effect or these upgrades, these are really minor boosts in my opinion, like having your hero die and then get one extra ultimate cast. I don't think that's making a difference usually in the course of a fight. And it's really expensive to get this upgrade. So I just say go for all the stats and these skill upgrades and leave it here. Even if you're running Lightbearer 4. Supreme Arena. Now for Mauler, I've invested the most because as you can tell, we're running two Mauler teams. We want it to be as good as possible. And all of them eventually will be good. I think the energy on hit left side is what I would go for first on stage 4. And on stage 3, I've given up on the life drain, but eventually I will want to get that. And here you just, in my opinion, you want all the stats here if you can get it, because there's a lot of stats to be picked up. And definitely, most importantly, you want this final node of skill 3 of stage 3. This is going to make your hero immune to the first fatal blow. For the Wilder faction talents, as you can tell, like stage 3, I did most of the upgrades. This one I didn't upgrade for a long time. Like I preferred the stat upgrades, other minor skill upgrades. I left this for a while. Because if you look at my Wilder team specifically, my heroes on the Wilder tiles are not damage dealers. We have Haywin, who hardly deals any damage, and Floribel, who's kind of like, she's a summoner rather than herself dealing that much damage. And so I didn't feel like this really helped me that much. And now for the stage 4, I'm just going for tanky stats. I want because this is a stall team, we want it to be as tanky as possible, so higher shielding, higher HP. That is what I went for. But eventually we'll go for the left side as well. Okay, now let's take a look at some replays to see the teams in action. Okay, so we got a 3 win, which is really good here. We'll take a look at our second team and then our third team. So yeah, so all of our team is grouped up at the front. We're going to be controlling the Honor Arena pretty quickly thanks to the Feresto illusion being up there and the Feresto main himself as well. And then Shakir casts his ultimate just 7 seconds into the match. Mikola on the buff tile as well. It gives her a lot of added survivability with the shield, and she ends up in a perfect position to buff up your team. Recurred Sphere. It looks like we're in a Dream Realm fight. Both Feresto and Shakir are all being buffed up by Mikola. And Coco is able to walk up and control the Honor Arena. Same with Rainier. So it's actually just, this is like the perfect fight. And it looks like utter domination, but this is the power of the Shakira Mauler team. And I think definitely if you're running Shakira, run it with Mikola and Coco. I think those three do really well. And then the other team with Odie, run Odie with Smokey, both on the buff tiles. So now we're going to take a look at that team. So the opponent is running meta team, which is Tasi, but Tasi and Wilders, which is strange. Anyway, we're all grouped up together here. Smokey is buffing up our team with the attack buff, healing them up as well. Odie has enough shielding, and he just goes from second 1, he starts firing off like crazy. We need to look at the damage chart. Already Thorn has been dead, or like is going to be executed right now, his first life. And that will give it should give Odie energy gain, right? To then begin attacking another hero. Tasi is able to cast her ultimate. We're immune to the fatal damage, which is good, so that will kind of bypass the Tasi soloing potential, and now my Odie will be able to begin attacking the Lily May, and Tasi went down as well, because we're all grouped up, right, and we're dealing that periodic area of effect damage. We have 3 heroes which are actually going to be immune to fatal damage. One is Brutus from his own kit, and then you have Odie and Smokey, who are going to be immune thanks to the Mauler buff tiles. If we look at the damage contribution, yeah, like Odie stole the show, but Lily May contributed a lot as well. And that's why I like running Lily May in the team as well. Another damage source helps you burst down because it is a nuke team. And sometimes Odie on his own is not enough to nuke. So let's take a look at more Odie teams against maybe some... I think Monarch is a pretty high ranking player. Yeah, and he's running, again, a Wilder team with crowd control Iron. The thing is, they don't know what I'm running because I have just Odie in the back. They're kind of like maybe confused about what my strategy is, but we're unaffected, so Iron doesn't get huge value. Now look at Odie already executing the Lily May 7 seconds into the match. Like with the resonating spell and the fact that Odie starts with that 600 initial energy from his Mythic Plus 10 exclusive equipment upgrade, he is just gonna start shredding through everything. Like it's the quickest kills you will see, and he just picks off enemies one by one. And as you can tell, Tasi just doesn't really have any solo potential against this team because you have 3 heroes who are going to be immune to that fatal damage, which are Brutus, Smokey, and Odie. So they're going to bounce back and be able to kill the Tasi. So anyway, guys, hopefully it gives you a decent idea of how these teams perform and function. But basically, there are 4 teams that I can put together. One is a Scarlita Stroll team. The next best would be the Lightbearer team with Vala and, like I mentioned, Haywin, Vala, Lucius, Rowan, Tasi is a good option. You can even go for 3 Mauler teams, because if I look at the Maulers I have left over, I have an Antandra left, I have Elsa left, Antandra, Elsa, I even have Kruger, Reese, or which can be used for just for filling out, and Lumont I'm building up right now. So for example, like you could do a final team of Lumont, Tasi. We saw how good that was with Antandra, Rowan. Yeah, like that is a great, you know. Well, I'm really close to getting Lumont upgraded to Supreme Plus. He's right now like at Supreme. So this is a team that potentially we will want to try. So it will be Tasi in the back, like she does. So the problem is with this team, we're not going to be able to give Tasi Resonating Spell. We'll have to give her the... Because you're giving Odie the Resonating Spell, because in our other team, but I guess you would have to go for Valor Shield Spell here. And then you would just go for one final hero, which would be... it can be Rowan to boost up the energy of Tasi, but the problem is Tasi is going to be in the back. So maybe not Rowan, but it could be basically any other hero here. And then you could actually be running 3 different Mauler teams if you wanted to. But I think with the Vala Shield spell and the fact that I have Vala and she's not used, like for me, it would probably be better to run a team like this, like I mentioned earlier. Rowan, Vala, and Tasi. But this is basically a good team for the final team option if your Scarlet Astral is not like built up, or if you don't want to run that team, or if it's not working for you. This team, we talked about replacements, and then this team is pretty free to play friendly. So let me know what you guys think. These are some great teams, and I can't wait for the next maps in the next week of Supreme Arena, and then we will go through those. But thanks for watching, guys. That's gonna be it for this video. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one, and until then, everyone, peace out for now, and thank you for watching.